Hi, everyone. Welcome to the August 2017 edition of Farsight's Time Cross Project, where we predict a month in advance the major news that will happen. Now, in this edition of Time Cross, published on YouTube at the end of July 2017, we have the predictions for August and the recap of how we did in June 2017. In our last Time Cross edition, which was for the July predictions, we ran into a major problem, as most of you know. I tripped while jogging over some uneven pavement, fell on my face, and I was in no shape to record video at that time. And I thank Melina Hall for stepping in and hosting the release of our July 2017 predictions for the month. July was a weird month for me. Right after recovering from my fall, I went on vacation to the beach. We all need a break once in a while. And at the beach, I did my normal surfing of the waves and also my not-so-normal getting bitten by venomous fire ants that had recently invaded my traditional camping grounds. So much for tenting. Anyway, on to our predictions for August 2017. We have 6 reports for you today, made by our millennial team, Aziz Brown, Princess Janae, and Melina Hall. These remote viewers have been doing amazingly well with Time Cross over the months. Toward the end of this video, we will summarize our results for June 2017, so keep watching to the end. It is really great to keep track of how well our remote viewers in this project are doing. Remember that our remote viewers typically stay on Time Cross for about a year before moving on to other projects. Aziz Brown is now completing his full Time Cross year with this edition, so congratulations to him. We will also have some new viewers who will soon be completing their training and joining us with Time Cross over the next 6 months or so. So keep an eye out for the changes. It is sort of like watching the science fiction show Doctor Who, wondering who will be the next Doctor Who since they change the character from time to time. The major difference, of course, is what we do is real. So, for August 2017, this is what we predict will happen, all based on remote viewing reports done and published in July 2017. We begin with a report by Princess Janae. Here we have what appears to be a significant earthquake in an urban area.
I have land, irregular topography land. I have a base surface, some steep peaks, very nearby water. It's not a main thing. I have both man-made and natural smells. I see a lot of structures, huge city, buildings. The buildings seem to be made of gravel, rock or stone. There's many subjects, male, female, and children. I see one non-surface structure. I can't quite make out what it is at the moment. Lots of cloud dynamics. It just seems like dust just coming everywhere over the city. Booming, roaring sounds, smoke, dust. It just erupts over the whole city, just in an upward and outward formation. There's a lot of sideward and back and forth movement to the ground, shaking land. Very buildings, large numbers of damaged buildings and roads. You can just see broken things. Again, just lots of clouds of smoke or dust. I can't quite figure out what it is yet. It doesn't seem to be a fire. This is definitely an urban environment. Very warm day. It's got, there's lots of shouting sounds. I also hear what sounds like an avalanche of some sort that may have been associated with, this appears to be an earthquake. Buildings are collapsing. Just looking at everything, it's just a whole harsh, smoky environment. lot of downward movement. So a lot of things are going down immediately. Immediately above the target location, I see falling buildings shaking about 1,000 feet up. It's just large land, huge city. Looking down, I can see that this is definitely not on my side of the world or country or whatnot. It's definitely very different. I'm going to go about a mile in all directions, and directly in front of me, I see a lot of debris, a lot of broken structures, a lot of subjects. When I go down behind me, there's foliage, damaged structures. Seems to be a lot of cloud dynamics. Again, they're just everywhere. The dust or smoke is everywhere. If I'm going to the right of me, about a mile out, and you see gravel falling. You see structures. Again, more and more cloud dynamics. And going to the left of me, again, just falling structures, cloud dynamics, subjects everywhere. They're very scattered. I'm in the going to the center of the target event of what's actually happening. It's serious downward motion. It's buildings, trees, just everything seems to have shaking. The ground is shaking and rumbling. Like imagine a giant just like jumps, or in the city just erupts and shakes. Imagine a giant walking in a cartoon or something, where every step causes a shaking movement or a tremor. The cloud dynamics and smokes are coming up from the ground. They're moving up and outward, just rolling clouds, dust. See an aircraft or something that's not connected to the ground. I believe it's an aircraft. It just falls. This feels like a very natural. It's a natural disaster, but it seems to have a man-made effect to it. Like there's something connected to it that is not of the natural disaster. But again, I could be wrong. It's just a feeling that I have. Seems like this aircraft I'm seeing seems like it may have malfunctioned during the earthquake and it just lands or falls or something of the sort. The buildings here seem to be made of, again, they all seem to be made of stone or gravel, rock. It's not brick. I don't see the red, brown, burgundy brick or that we have where I am. This is in a place where they build their buildings out of stone, rock, gravel, granite. I'm gonna go just to see a gist of everything, and when everything is happening, I'm gonna go 24 hours before and after this target location, this target event that I'm here. So I'm just gonna following the timeline. I see everything is just very in place. It's very beautiful. The city is small. The city is just very beautiful. Around here, there's a small tremor, a bit of confusion from the subjects in the city. As I continue to go, there's a larger tremor and then an instant quake. It's just huge. Everything's all over the place. Going through, buildings are starting to react. The city is starting to, the cities are collapsing. You can see the aircraft around here sort of kind of involved in this crisis. right at the center of the target location. I see that there's shaking, there's gravel, there's crashing, there's downward, huge, dusty cloud dynamics, subjects in distress. This is very, very major. It's not on the southeast. I can definitely see that. 24 hours after, very broken city. It's not as bad as it could be, but it's definitely bad. Like from what I'm feeling, from what I'm seeing, it's almost like it should have been worse, but I'm grateful that it isn't. Again, you just see very smoky, very cloudy. It's foggy. It's dim. It's dark. It's sad. It's gloomy. It's broken. Yes, it's definitely broken. I wonder where this is.
Next up, Melina Hall brings us a report of male subjects fighting it out in the street. Major violent demonstrations in what appears to be a Latin American nation. After watching this report, I personally wondered if this means that more tumult is going to happen in Venezuela, a country that appears to be coming apart at the seams. Watch the report and you decide for yourself.
Today I will be exploring Target 57474433. So I'm getting this flat topography. The base surface feels natural, a bit man-made areas, but I'm getting natural land. I'm seeing structures. I'm getting a sense of water, but it's not in this area. It's pretty nearby. I'm getting a lot of smoke in the air, cloud dynamics. So yes, there's these surface structures on both sides. Man-made brick, like brick material. I'm getting like a tannish, orange, brown structures. And I'm getting like this tannish, brownish dirt color. There's definitely foliage here. I'm hearing a lot of noises, a lot of loud noises. I'm hearing a lot of screams, deep voices yelling, like I'm hearing a lot of men. So there are subjects here. Got these two angry male subjects. I'm hearing a lot of noises. Seems to be more of them. A lot of male subjects. So here, there's this big crowd. I'm getting a lot of energy from this crowd. I can smell heat and smoke, like dust from the ground and the dirt and the sand. These people, I'm getting a lot of white skin. Let's see, tan complexions. Seems very diverse, but not really in this area. Seems like another country. Feels foreign here. These subjects seems to be in this big brawl of lot of fighting. Everybody is just hyper. It's crazy. I'm getting this type of subject, the features. So this subject up close, he looks very Latino. This seems to be in the South America or whatnot. This whole area is located in another country. They sound like they're speaking Spanish. It could be another foreign language. Feels like Latin Americans maybe. People here are so upset. It's very hot. Everybody is sweating. It's just a lot of fighting and people are getting hurt. I'm hearing a lot of crying. I'm hearing a lot of women and their kids. They're like trying to move away from the fight, like far out around the blocks, around the buildings and structures with flat topography. I'm seeing a few stairs and foliage and more spacious area, but a lot of flat top rectangular structures in this whole area. Just a lot of people here. This fight is very intense. People have weapons, knives. It's very bloody. I can smell the blood, the sweat. But yeah, there's women and their kids. They're like holding on to them. In the center, I'm getting all the subjects here. A lot of loud noises, a lot of sirens and horns. I'm hearing a lot of people. It's nonstop. To my right, in 1 mile, I'm seeing more of a flatland, bit rocky, irregular kind of structures, a lot of stairs and steps, kind of sort of like a maze-like type of environment right here. To my left, it's the same, a lot of steps. I'm getting sort of like steps here. So I'm getting like a lot of stairs and a lot of concrete, steel structures. It's a very exotic city, very beautiful, but it's it's very dangerous. Some certain days, certain times. Like right now, it's a lot of violence here. Okay, 1 mile in front of me. It's a lot of peaks, almost. A lot of dirt and grass. Very natural land. The air smells pretty normal, but flat land, more structures, more people, a few vehicles driving around. I'm getting a lot of men coming in uniform, ready to get information and end this whole big brawl, end it all. I'm getting a lot of them, at least a good number, 20 maybe, in their metallic structures. They're all moving in, ready to go in and charge at this big fight crowd in the city. Seem to have this huge, heavy armory on them, shield, the mask, and holding up the grenade, which it doesn't kill people, I believe. It's just the smoke, throw smoke at them, smoke bombs. But I'm hearing booming noises, so it kind of end up more of a war than just to break things out. Far as them being the police and being the peacekeepers, they're majority making the situation even more dangerous than what it is, because when people see a lot of enforcement coming their way, that's more trouble, more weapons, more fighting, because now it goes from a big brawl to a bigger brawl. Like, people are continuing to fight, and now they're fighting at this guy, this officer. Is getting out of hand here. This place feels like it's in South America, maybe. The people are like brown and tan skin, white skin, red. So it could possibly be in the Middle East. But I'm hearing a lot of Spanish language, and also a lot of other languages. I couldn't tell you. It's so many, and it's a few English, a few Americans there. It's very crazy here, very chaotic. So nothing but cloud dynamics, smoke. People are falling out. They're passing out from this whole dust ball of fighting. It's very intense. The energy is overwhelming. And that was target 57474433.
Now back to Princess Janae, where she reports on a very scary water event involving extremely rough water and what seems to be a cruise ship.
Three, 2, 3, 6, 2, 8, 7, 1. So I have a lot of water, but I see some land off in the distance. However, the water is the most dominant part of this target. I smell a lot of salty smells, so I feel like it's a lot of salt water where I am. There's a city off in the distance near the land. Again, it's quite far, but I can see it from where I am. However, I'm focused mainly on this. There's a structure on the water. There's lots of movement on the water. I hear loud sounds. Wind sounds. It's quite warm or hot. My main focus, again, is on the structure on the water, both natural. I smell a little smoke. I'm not quite sure where it's from, if something's going on with the structure on the water. There are subjects inside and out. The dynamic appears to be between the water and the boat. I have a feeling of a cruise ship maybe, or a yacht, just a really big, some kind of big boat. There's a lot of movement, a lot on the water. It feels like waves, very heavy, very rapid waves. This movement of the water to the boat is very angry, like extremely angry water. It's rather aggressive. The skies are very dark. I can see where I am. I see the structure on very rapid water with subjects inside. I'm going to go immediately above to see. I see extreme rapid movement. Again, a lot of, clashing, going about 500 feet up, looking all over everything. I see harsh, rapid water. The structure is not safe. It's right. Looking from where I am, the structure isn't safe. It's just, you can see it encasing by water. I'm gonna go about a mile in each direction just to see if I can get a better look of what is going on in this area. From where I am, I'm gonna go in front of me, and again it's just very dark, very angry water. To the right of me is this is very rapid. Even to the left, behind me, everywhere is dark skies, huge angry water and waves. Off in the distance, again I can see, from the distance in front of me, I can still see the urban environment a few miles out, a good ways out. But I'm over this boat, and it really needs to be saved. It's not in good standing. Crashing sounds, water hitting the boats. I can hear that. The boat seems to be battling to stay above the water. It's very like the water is going over the boat, making it look like the boat is breaking or tilting. I can't tell if this is or was or is a fun ship or a business ship. I'm not sure what's going on, but there was sign of music. Yeah, I did hear a lot of music and, rhythmic beats and noises earlier. So it could be a fun ship. Looking 24 hours in, it was very, calm. The water was pretty smooth, and then as the day goes on, the water starts to become very angry. The boat starts to battle the angry water. It's very tumultuous water. It's very aggressive, and I would not want to be on the ship with this water. Later on, it appears to be, the water makes the boat appear to be tipping or sinking. But again, I don't see anywhere with it actually sinking. So I can't necessarily say that that's what's happened. And about 24 hours after the water feels calm. I'm going to walk around the boat just to see what type of boat this is. Again, I said I couldn't tell exactly what type of boat this is. And walking around, I hear music pulsing. It's very carefree. It's very, a free sense. It's very fun, energetic. I see men in uniforms, but I also see women in dresses. I see the people are mostly white, but there are a few other ethnicities there. Mostly men, but again, also women. I can hear the language. The language is English with an accent or a Latin base. It could be a very Latin base. Again, I see a lot of things going on here. I see something like a ballroom. It's very open, wide space. Both men and women are in uniform, like the same type of uniform. Maybe it's the sailor thing. Again, I'm not quite sure, but then there's some that are like fancy, pretty dresses and formal attire. I see hallways, lots of different hallways. It's a party. It's a celebration. But then something serious just goes wrong. Like all of a sudden, it went from being extremely upbeat and carefree and happy to very wrong and terrifying to the people that are on board here. Yeah.
Next up, Melina Hall describes a controlled demolition of an important building that seems to have an emotional attachment to lots of people.
Today, I will be exploring target 89537474. So I have this flat topography. I'm getting natural air smells, man-made smells, like a smoke. I'm seeing structures. So there's multiple structures. It's very hot here. Burning, sweating. I'm hearing a lot of noises. Subjects are here. Foliage, I'm seeing a lot of trees around. Not too many trees, but there's trees around here. This building or somewhat. Some big tall structure these subjects are focusing to seems to be like some type of focus gathering here. I'm getting metallic structures like big trucks around. A lot of noises. People are talking, shouting, cheering. You just emotional, just mixed emotions really. It feels like a strike. Or a ceremony. Seems like some type of city business meeting somewhere. Seems to be a last day event of some sort. I'm getting a lot of mixed emotions from this crowd, and it's a lot of confusion and a lot of people that's in work uniform. I'm getting these people here. So I'm getting that work uniform people here. Business and tire. I'm getting a mixture crowd of people, mostly white, a few dark complexions and tan complexions, but mostly a white crowd here. Let's move around. So right now I'm going to start from here. I'm getting people, loud noises, a lot of beep sounds, like beep, beep, like a lot of construction. I'm getting a lot of people just staring and just shaking their head and just don't know how to react to what's ever going on. A lot of subjects and vehicles passing by behind them. In front is just this tall building, a few structures on the side, and like I said, foliage here. Let's move up. So above, nothing really much above here. Above this building, but like I said, it's different building, different shapes, top, like a dome top around the area and a peak top somewhere in the midst of that whole city-like environment. And 1,000 feet, I'm getting a fill of water nearby. Not too much water, but water. I'm getting water. City. A big city, plenty of people come and visit. It's kind of like the most popular city here, a very popular city. So let's see, let's move 1 mile each direction. Subjects here, the structure, the noises, the loud talking voices. To my right, I'm getting people, more people, cars, trucks, loud noises. Even more, the city just seems so busy and nauseous. And today just been not only a hot day there, but just a emotional day for these people and what's going on here. So let's make this right. Left, 1 mile to the left, a few structures, flat land, foliage. In front, there's a structure, a few people standing in front of the structure, people making a speech or talking about memories or somewhat. I'm getting a lot of active and people that are just telling others everything will be fine. We have better, bigger, better things for everyone. It's pretty weird. Right here behind us, just cars and more structures. So it's like a streetway, block, foliage, flatland structures, people, the focus gathering. So 4 hours before it seems to be like a regular day here. I'm getting a feel of trucks and more vehicles approaching to this big building. A lot of people are wondering what's going on. Certain people know what's going on. So, boom, 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 boom. I'm hearing this loud noise. People are closing their ears and stepping far back. They get scared and shocked for a minute. The building that everybody was focused on has fallen down. Seems to be exploded. Subjects seem to knocked it down. Very sad for everybody, but the building has been knocked down, and people are just like, whoa, like, wow, like this is hard for us to see that. All the noises, all the crumbling, the dirt, just a lot of harsh man-made materials below, big parts, small parts, just a lot of things going on in this whole area. So 4 hours after, okay, so 4 hours after, no structure in front of everybody, just dirt, ground, harsh man-made materials. There's still a few structures around it, broken trees, but there's a few trees still standing. Subjects are slowly walking away from it. Some move out the way from it. It just, people are just so confused, but I mean, they understood the whole speech from earlier, but it's just like, wow, like, why? So let's get the look of this. So here I have the close-up of what I seen. Seems like this guy either runs the place or co-owns the place. I don't know if the guy that developed this whole project is here, but he seems to be sort of relieved that it, boom, disappeared, you know. Well, not necessarily disappear, but it seems to be he's kind of a lot of weight off his shoulders now that this whole business structure been demolished. These are workers that I guess helped explode it up, which is only went flat down, so it was more like boom, and then like it just went down. These are like the little structures and big parts of the structure that now just in a pile of dirt, a whole bunch of dust and smoke. News reporters, people out here, because it's just like, this is just so outrageous, because a lot of subjects are around in front of them, just like, whoa. And this seems like an important building to certain people, because people are sad, they're crying, they have a lot of fun, or this building is some business that people really enjoyed, and now it's gone. And it just seems very sad to watch a favorite place to go being destroyed for, I guess, bigger and better things for the future. Now I'm going to go through subject A head and see what he feels like, what is his emotions. Well, he seems pretty okay. He seems a bit sad, not too much. He's not showing it. You can see the tears in his eyes, but he's keeping his chest up and he's wearing his nice casual business attire. It's pretty hot there, so he got a nice blouse, maybe suit-like, but I'm getting more of a blouse that men wear, I guess, a button-up. He seems very delightful at the end. He hopes everybody understands the reason why it's been destroyed, and hopefully he keeps his word by expanding another project and moving on to better things. But he's very relieved, not too cocky or nothing, even though he's a business owner. He just seems that things happen and it's something to deal with economic issues, and of course it's being socialized by plenty of people, especially around the city, because everybody in this city knows every place, every building, monument, structure. It's a very popular city that people visit all the time. So the fact that his business and his team or the people behind him had to let this go, people are just like, wow, like it's pretty devastating. Subject B, which is basically the people, they're just very discouraged. They understand, I mean, then life happens, that's the whole point. They are okay. There was a lot of loud noises just to get rid of this building, like ears popped and everything. They just wasn't expecting a big boom. It didn't have to leave like that, but yeah, the subjects are just very dramatic and they're just so emotional, but I'm sure they'll be okay after the day. So yeah, this was Target 89537474.
Now on to 2 reports by Aziz Brown. In his first, he reports on a water event that appears to involve the rescue of a group of people at sea.
1, 3, 6, 4, 8, 1, 6, 7. There seems to be a large wet base surface. At this wet base surface, there seems to be a angular craft made of metal on top of the wet base surface. It seems like this is a body of water with a deep body of water with this large angular craft that seems to be, it seems to have these inwards angles, like sort of like a boat, but a lot of jagged, more angular features at the top, slanting down to the side and rounded at the bottom. There is a set of strange feeling objects into the water further out into the distance. For example, there is a rubbery ball of pinkish red color, and it has these sort of ropes around it. And further off to the side, there is also a buoy-shaped object that also has hard metal cap and a hard metal base, but a sort of reddish interior. There is a chain that pulls it down into the water, and an angular metallic structure deep into the water at the base of the water where it hits more of a solid ground area. There is, on top of the structure that is on the water, the vessel, there seems to be a male figure with a mixture of rubbery and cloth clothing, headgear of sorts, as well as it seems like he's shielding his face a little bit from a wave of water that's coming up. There is, let's get a larger picture of what's going on. Let's move 500 feet up into the sky and 500 feet down into the ground. So 500 feet up and down, not down into the ground, but 500 feet up forward and 500 feet behind. There is this moving 500 feet forward and 500 feet behind. There seems to be this nothing but water behind, nothing but water. But above, it seems like there is the area where there is the red ball, the area where is the buoy, and moving, there seems to be something further onto the side. So 500 feet to the left-hand side, 500 feet to the right-hand side, 500 feet laterally makes 5,000 feet up to the front of the craft. There seems to be the buoy on this side and the reddish ball on the other side. 500 feet down, 5,000 feet behind seems to be nothing but water down there. 5,000 feet to the left-hand side seems like there is also nothing but water over there. 5,000 feet to the right-hand side, there seems to be 5,000 feet to the right-hand side seems to have this rubber vessel, entirely rubbery area that is small but crammed full of subjects. Several different subjects crammed onto a small, low-level, rubbery, waterborne craft. And it seems like let's try to go through one of those subjects to a deep mind probe. Let's pick the foremost subject. Let's do a deep mind probe of that subject. Going into the mind. Inside that subject's mind, he seems to be very distressed, seems to be very worried, very anxious, really yelling along with other subjects, yelling, trying to get the attention of this larger vessel which is directly in front. Going back to that larger vessel, let's see what that subject at the foremost of that craft was thinking and doing with a deep mind probe. Going into a deep mind probe of that subject seems like that subject is scanning the horizon, looking at various objects into the water, especially the buoys, but it doesn't seem like this subject is has noticed quite yet or is very aware of the subjects to the other side. There's also a feeling of, to the right-hand side, moving up in elevation. To the right-hand side, it seems like there is, to the left-hand side actually, upwards in elevation, to the left-hand side, there seems to be a sound of an airborne craft. Looking for that sound, seems like it is a helicopter-y shaped craft way out into the air, moving towards the situation. Let's find out what happens into the future. So, moving into the future from this point, it seems that there is a lot of convening of these crafts, but it seems like all of the debris just seems to be moving away. It seems like there's a couple metallic hard structures that are floating into the water and some softer structures into the water, but nothing really discernible of what it is. But the vessels with the subjects, gone. The airborne craft, gone. Moving into the other direction in time, it seems like the debris and the area of these subjects, they seem to be moving from an area with a lot of stormy weather way out into the distance. At the time in which this is happening, it seems like it's just dark cloud dynamics, not really a storm present, but something in the wake of a storm was there earlier, or at least some higher wave activity that caused a bit of a problem for these individuals. And in that other direction where the airborne craft is coming from is perpendicular from a direction in which this other vessel seems to be coming from, the one that's metallic and angular in shape. That vessel in the back seems to have come from a land source that doesn't seem like it was involved in any turbulent weather patterns or anything like that. So it seems like what has happened here is the survivors, the fallout of some event that caused distress to several people to have to take to a life vessel in some body of water were discovered or possibly rescued by both an airborne craft as well as the main craft being a large seafaring metallic vessel. So that really concludes the data for this target.
In Aziz Brown's second report, we have a military confrontation involving a jet that seems to fire a missile that hits a building and subjects on the ground. It is interesting that this does not appear to be a cruise missile attack launched from a ship or submarine, which is something we have seen recently over the months. Rather, this event involves a jet aircraft, and Aziz even gets a perspective from within the aircraft itself.
0, 5, 2, 7, 6, 9, 1, 0. There is irregular topography, high elevated irregular topography, rocky natural landscape. A large metallic structure is flying very fast linearly across the top of the irregular landscapes. Let's look closely at this metallic structure. This metallic structure has hard wing-like features and a tube-like area. The metallic structure has this sort of like a cockpit, an area in which there is a subject inside. The subject has a large dome-like, hard, dark headgear with sort of a tube coming out of the mouth area. The craft itself is tubular in shape with these wings off the side of it and a lot of fins in the back. There is this high energy, very heated combustion source that's propelling it forward, but it's kept high in the air because of its wings as well as this intense propulsion. There's also a vast array of electronic equipment inside the area where the subject is sitting, and looking further in front there is a lot of fast-moving cloud dynamics that are whizzing by, a lot of land moving very fast from underneath, so it's very fast-moving airborne structure. There is also a lot of banking with the way that it's moving, like the structure moving sideways like that and sideways like that. Let's move now 12 hours in the future. So 12 hours into the future, you can see that the structure is continuing to bank in different directions as it's moving around, eventually coming to a stop and pausing, landing on a man-made landscape. But through that time, a piece of the structure fell off and moved in a very different direction. Let's look further towards that time. But 12 hours in the past, before we go there, 12 hours into the past, there is 12 hours into the past, it seems to have taken off from a man-made landscape and moved also in this banking motion. So it's not going in a straight line technically. It's moving in circles and in large curves around a vast piece of area, a vast landscape. But at some point into the future, a projectile of sorts, a much more tubular, smaller, with smaller wings, smaller fins in the back of it, also with a combustion source, seems to rocket off in a downward direction. And following that, it seems to move from this point. Let's move 500 feet in front, 500 feet in front of this area. It seems like there's nothing but this vast landscape, a vast area. Let's move in both directions, just a lot of vast land. But there is a land-water interface that seems to be visible far, far in the forward direction. moving 500 feet to the sides now. To other sides, there seems to be a lot of variation between how irregular and regular the topography gets in both directions. Following that projectile now, that projectile seems to be moving downwards and hits a man-made structure. At this man-made structure, there seems to be several subjects outside. The subjects outside, one of them in particular, has a headgear, civilian-dressed clothes, and a metallic object in one of his hands. Looking inside this subject's mind, let's do a deep mind probe. The subject seems to be looking up and sees something in the sky, and it gets very excited about this object, turns and faces and starts yelling to the other subjects. As this exchange occurs, the object hits this area, and what's immediately left afterwards in time is a large crater in that area with several bodies just sort of sprayed out. They're heavily burnt bodies, and it seems like there's a lot of damage in that area from an explosive, burning, heated blast. Looking into the subject who was into the aircraft, let's look into that subject's mind, that deep mind probe again. Looking inside, that subject seems to be having a lot of feelings of following directions, following the procedure of what it's doing, a little bit intense, a lot of adrenaline coursing through that subject. But this seems to conclude the data for this target at that time. Seems like there was an airborne vehicle that was moving across a landscape and struck a ground target in sort of a military-like fashion. This ground target had subjects with a little tanner skin, and that seems to be the conclusion of the data for this target.
So that is it for the predictions for August 2017, and now on to the summary of how well we did in predicting major news events for June. It is very important to see the results of how our remote viewers do in previous months so that you can better appreciate and understand the predictions for the next month. This is the recap of how our remote viewers did in our most recently completed past Time Cross edition that predicted the major news events for an upcoming month. We are now including the recap for the past Time Cross edition with the predictions for the next month, so that everything will be in one video to make it easier to follow. As of the recording of this video, July 2017 has not yet finished, so we will recap July at the end of August. Since it is now near the end of the month of July, we can recap how our remote viewers did in predicting the news for June 2017, all based on remote viewing sessions conducted during May 2017. For those of you who have been following this project from the beginning in May 2016, you have noticed that we have changed our approach to targeting. We started out by trying to predict the major news stories as reported in 4 mainstream news outlets. But we soon found out that the mainstream news outlets were not doing the best job of reporting actual events that involved physical things, activity, and people. The stories dominating the news tended to be overwhelmingly commentary or reports of commentary regarding things people were saying or scandals brewing. It almost seemed like the mainstream news was saving money by not having reporters cover events on location, finding it cheaper to cover what people in high places are saying instead. There is also the problem of some kinds of news stories becoming so routine, such as political scandal and most terrorist events, that they were becoming predictable, which made them ineligible for inclusion in our Time Cross project. More on that from Princess Janae.
Well, the month of June was no exception in this regard. From our Time Cross news analysis table, the big ticket items in terms of news coverage from the mainstream outlets were Prime Minister May losing support in the UK parliamentary elections, an event that was a vote and which did not really involve people doing things, and former FBI Director James Comey testifying before Congress, which involved the ongoing White House scandals. There was also the terror attack in London where a van collided with people on the London Bridge, and again, most terror events have become a regular and predictable occurrence, as well as the burning of the Grenfell Tower, West London apartment building that killed lots of people, a horrible event that normally would have qualified for our Time Cross project, but which was not picked up by any of our viewers. Remember, our viewers are not required to report any particular story that appears in the news. They are to report the important news events that will occur the next month, and they will be attracted to whatever events attract them. For our Time Cross project, the events should be unusual and unscheduled. They should not be events that occur with regularity each month, and the reports should have enough specifics such that it is easy to see a match between each report and the event covered for that month. To find out about such events, we have expanded our news coverage to include a wide variety of news outlets, outside of our primary 4 featured news outlets. Indeed, we have found that events that we consider important are often covered only in these alternative news outlets.
So, how did our viewers do in reporting the important news stories for June 2017? Great, actually. Let's start with the dramatic report that was made by Princess Yune that involved a girl who was kidnapped and kept in a box in the American Southeast. Well, as it turned out, that was a huge story in June. On November 3rd, 2016, police officers discovered Kayla Brown, who had been kidnapped by Todd Colehip and kept prisoner in a box, a camouflaged shipping container in a woodsy area near Woodruff, South Carolina. Why this made news in June 2017 is because on the 11th of June, prosecutors from the 7th Circuit Solicitor's Office released for the first time video taken by the police officers of Kayla Brown being rescued. This video is very graphic, and for some it may be hard to watch, but it is available on YouTube and on a variety of news outlets that are linked in our news analysis table that can be found in the Time Cross area of Farsight's website. Again, the event did not happen in June, but the news of the event happened in June, and that is what we are trying to report to you. Major news events that are reported in the news in a given month. Princess made very few errors in that report. She even got the general region, the American Southeast, between Georgia and North Carolina. Some minor errors were made, such as with respect to hair color, but in general, that was a very impressive hit for the month. Princess's second story involved a highly unusual terrorist event involving anti-American or anti-Western activity in the Middle East. She reports that at the time of this event, things are not going well in the White House with President Trump, which is something that viewers often notice when two types of things are going on at the same time, especially if they are connected in some way, even if indirectly, such as if someone at one place should be doing something about or noticing something happening in another place. Well, this terrorist activity was highly unusual because Princess reported that it involved two terrorists who planted explosives in a box in a building and then blew up the building. The reason this was unusual is that this sort of activity happens with terrorist events in the West, such as in Europe and the United States. It does not happen in the Middle East. In the Middle East, if someone wants to blow up a building, they shoot a rocket or a missile at it or some other kind of projectile to destroy it. They don't plant explosives in a box. Well, as it turns out, that is exactly what happened on the 21st of June, when ISIS destroyed the historic Great Mosque of al-Nouri in Mosul, Iraq. Surveillance video of the explosion details clearly that the building was packed with explosives and destroyed from within, not from the outside with a projectile or missile. Again, this was a highly important terrorist attack since the Great Mosque of al-Nouri had historical significance to ISIS, and they did not want it falling into the hands of government forces, and also because of the way in which the building was destroyed. This important event was covered by our featured news outlets, but only minimally, which says nothing about the importance of the event, but which again points to ongoing problems with our featured news outlets with respect to the reporting of events relevant for this project. But for Princess, this was a second really great hit for the month. Now on to the remote viewing news report done by Melina Hall. Princess?
Melina Hall had 2 reports for the month of June. In her first, she reports on a variety of perceptions, and at first glance, it is not clear how they are all connected. This sometimes happens with remote viewing, so with remote viewing data, we often have to patiently connect the dots. First, she reports on a high-tech guy who is giving a speech to an enthusiastic audience. He is hyped up, smart, and well-dressed. Second, Melina reports on something related to missile launches and the testing of new technology. There is also the perception of a missile on a launcher truck, military officers who are happy with the test of missiles, and the sense that at least one of the planned missiles will be able to carry nuclear warheads. Well, as it turns out, this was a saga that spanned nearly the entire month with regard to the Korean Peninsula. The United States had just installed the first 2 batteries of the THAAD missile defense system in South Korea. The enthusiastic new president of South Korea, President Moon, made a major announcement delaying the installation of the remaining 4 THAAD batteries to allow for environmental assessments, but which probably had something to do with strong objections from the government of China with respect to the missile defense system. Presidents Trump and Moon also met to discuss these missile-related issues at the end of June in Washington, D.C. Finally, North Korea tested new missile technology by launching 4 anti-ship, surface-to-ship missiles on June 8th. So, you can see Korean missile stuff was all over the news in June, and that is what Melina reported. It was not a single missile event, but rather a string of related missile stories that spanned the entire month. In retrospect, it is easy to see this in her report. Although I admit that it is not always easy to see how things are connected when all you have is the prediction. Sometimes remote viewing is like this because the viewer has access to anything related to a particular subject, and the viewer tries to make sense of it all by reporting the basic perceptions and then trying to connect them as best as possible. Usually, it is possible for a highly trained remote viewer to connect the dots, but sometimes the story itself is so complicated that it is hard to do. Nonetheless, Melina did a great job pulling all the related gestalts into one story, a story which turned out to be accurate. For Melina Hall's second report, she described an industrial disaster. In her report, there is a facility that may be chemical or nuclear, although she clearly describes nuclear symbols on some surfaces. The facility is fenced, and there is a toxic contamination event. Part of the facility collapses, involving a tunnel or underground area. Well, as it turns out, on June 8th, there was a radiation leak at the Hanford nuclear site in Richland, Washington. Alarms were triggered and workers had to take cover. This is the same facility that just earlier experienced the collapse of a tunnel involving the storage waste nuclear materials. The prior collapse of the tunnel and the later radiation leak are all related to ongoing problems at the site. Oddly, this important story was really only reported in a significant detail by the RT News outlet, and we link to this report in our news analysis table. Pictures from the Hanford nuclear site look remarkably like those sketched by Melina in her report.
Wrapping up our Time Cross coverage for June 2017, Aziz Brown reported on 2 events. In his first report, he describes cruise missiles fired from a ship. The missiles covered a very long distance and hit an urban area in a dry, arid environment. Aziz also describes leadership involved with the event. Well, as it turns out, on June 23rd, Russians fired 6-caliber cruise missiles at ISIS positions in Syria from 2 Russian Navy frigates and a submarine in the Mediterranean. The missiles targeted ISIS leadership in a command and control center, as well as ammunition depots. These missile attacks were covered in a wide range of news outlets. Aziz's report closely matches what actually happened. In Aziz Brown's second report for the month, he describes a storm, a water event involving harsh weather in a tropical or semi-tropical environment. There is heavy rain and flooding. There are wooden structures undergoing damage. The event is near an ocean, and there is extensive foliage nearby, lots of low-level structures, and a mixture of dirt and paved roads. It is generally lightly populated in this area, and he reports tall waves, intense winds, and he states that it is like a tropical storm or hurricane. However, his descriptions match that of a serious tropical storm, not a devastating hurricane. Well, as it turns out, June 2017 was highly unusual in the major storm category. In the Pacific, Tropical Storm Merbok hit China between June 10th and June 13th, a storm that incidentally affected Aziz's travel between China and Thailand at the time. However, the closer match with Aziz's data appears to be a very rare simultaneous appearance of two major tropical storms affecting the Western Hemisphere. Tropical storms Brett and Cindy came out of the Atlantic Basin and affected the areas of Venezuela, Trinidad, and Tobago, as well as the Gulf of Mexico. Only 3 times since records began in 1900 had there been 2 Atlantic Basin severe tropical storms that were concurrent. The descriptions of these 2 storms, especially Brett, appears to closely match the perceptions reported by Aziz. Princess?
So that is how we did for June 2017, reporting the news before it happens using remote viewing in May 2017. We typically ask each remote viewer to spend a year reporting for Time Cross. This helps them mature as viewers, and it allows the audience, you, to watch them as they fully develop. After about a year of working Time Cross stories, they tend to move on to other projects, such as our Mysteries projects or a new series that we are about to announce soon, thereby making room for new viewers who are training in the wings and who are eager to get started with the Time Cross.
Note also that we recently released our new Mysteries project, Remote Viewing Area 51. This is a blockbuster. If you have ever wondered what was really down under Area 51 in Nevada, now is your chance to find out. Also, I hope you get a chance to watch our recently released Mysteries project on the Roswell UFO crash. It is 3 hours of spine-tingling detail from 3 great remote viewers. And do remember to watch our other Mysteries projects, such as the investigations into the 9/11 events, the assassinations of John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King, the psychology of Adolf Hitler, and some amazing explorations into UFOs and extraterrestrial life. As always, all Farsight remote viewing work is done solo, under totally blind conditions, with no communication between any of the remote viewers. So when you see all the viewers corroborate each other with each project, it is nothing short of amazing. It is also good to remember that when you watch our Mysteries projects, you are helping us at Farsight do our work, including the funding for our Time Cross project, which we offer free to the public, but which costs us a few $1,000s to do each month. We have no other significant sources of income to pay the bills, so you really help when you follow and watch our activities and research. Finally, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Farsight Press, to keep up with the latest. There is nothing like Farsight anywhere else on the internet. You can find information about all of our present and past activities on our website. Also on our website, sign up for our free email newsletter where we announce all of our major projects. And for our sign-off for this month's edition of Time Cross, Princess, how about you handle it?
Stay ahead of the curve. Let the mainstream fade in the dust. Be there now.